Alright, this is a short video on basically what is the true definition of the role of police and military. And a lot of people misunderstand what the role of the police and military are. Being a veteran myself, I'm very intimate with the oath of office. And so once someone raises their hand and takes that oath of office, they're bound. That is a vocal contract. And what that oath says is that their job is to protect and serve the Constitution of the United States. Now what that means is that they are there to protect the rights of the individual, what is enshrined in the Constitution. This is just an extension of natural rights, what we're inherently born with. The day we begin breathing, those are our rights. We have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is fact-based information. It has nothing to do with what we might like, what our opinions are. This is fact. Every person has the right to defend themselves. So the drafters of the Constitution enshrined these rights in the Constitution. And that's what the role of the police and the military are. Now, that role has been skewed. And the reason why is because now we have politicians that think that the role of the police and the military is to protect them and their interests, their corporate interests. Because, you see, they're all tied to corporatism. Now, corporations in and of themselves are not evil. Privately owned business is not evil. But when it grows beyond the scope of just providing a service to the point of where it wants to enslave everybody, as it's attempting to do and has done to a large scale in this country, then it becomes a problem. Because in order to keep growing, it has to trample on the rights of people. So, the police and the military have been misled to believe that their duty is to protect people. And that people don't have the right to protect themselves. That's contrary to the Constitution. The drafters of the Constitution, the lawmakers from back in the 1700s, understood that the only guard against one bully or a multitude of bullies taking rights away from people was the people themselves. What kind of appalls me is that these same lawmakers and the people that, blindly follow behind them think that the Second Amendment is only guaranteed to police and military. It's not true. The Second Amendment was designed to protect the people. It was designed to remind the government that their duty was to protect those natural rights, that there was limits imposed on their power. And those limits have been overstepped, seriously. So whenever you see issues that I take a strong stance about, it's because those rights have been trampled on in one form or another. So anyone, police and military, if you're viewing this video and you seem to think that I'm wrong, go ahead and look it up. Forget all the statutes and codes. Because, I understand, they give you a shitty job. They give you all these requirements you have to fulfill, and then they make it impossible for you to do your job. It's just like the ROE, Rules of Engagement. They told us we were there to do a job, and then they made it impossible for us to do that job. Well, that's the same thing with laws. All these statutes, ordinances, and codes. They write them because they know in order for you to enforce these codes, ordinances, that you have to trample on certain rights. So they're already asking you to violate your oath, number one. Number two, they're putting you in a dangerous situation. So really seriously think about it. It's not ordinary citizens that are putting you in this situation. They are putting you in this situation themselves, the lawmakers. And they're really not lawmakers, they're criminals because they use trickery and deceit. One example is using the media and these lawmakers. They say that the Second Amendment, they now know that, the militia is the National Guard or the reserves. And that's bullshit. The militia is the people. Back in the 1700s, when they had militias, they recognized that the community was important. They didn't rely on police and military to protect them. Because in reality, police and military cannot protect people. They can't prevent anything. The only thing they can do is come in and either mop up or take over an area by force. I mean, that's pretty much all they can do. They can write reports. They can do after-action reviews. They can investigate. They can bring people in to incarcerate them or hold them for trial. But other than that, they really can't prevent anything other than being a deterrent, to some people who would view them as a deterrent. But, that's their role is not to prevent anything. They're not the thin blue line or the thin green line between us and the bad guys. Bad guys are always going to be there, and many of them reside in positions of power. So you have to understand that this is this is a serious issue. Okay, that you cannot determine now what somebody meant in the past and completely change its definition. It's stupid. I mean, these same lawmakers would lead us to believe that if they wanted to reinterpret the dictionary, that they could issue a statement that says, now we know that purple actually means yellow. Yes, our scholars have determined that purple means yellow, and you're supposed to fall for it. But, I mean, it's clear, it's in plain English, that the militia is the people, the right of the people. It doesn't say the right of the police, it doesn't say the right of the military, it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms. If you want to really get into specifics, maybe the language is a little bit archaic for some. To me, it's not. It's very plain. But if you really want to give it a modern definition, you could say, because a militia is necessary to protect a free state, a free society, the right of every citizen to keep and bear arms. That means carry on their person. Open, concealed, it doesn't matter. There's no distinction. It just says carry. Bear, that's what it means, is carry. The right of the people to carry arms shall not be infringed. So, by right of that Second Amendment, every citizen of the United States has the right to open carry. Any law that says otherwise is a violation of that right. And I'm talking about concealed carry weapons permits that restrict the bearer of that permit to only carrying concealed. What kind of shit is that? That's a direct violation of the Second Amendment. And a lot of people don't understand it. They think, well, it's cool, I get to carry a concealed weapon. Good for you. Well, by agreeing to that contract, you just violated the Second Amendment. Not only that, but you put yourself on a list because they know if you got a CCW, more than likely you have a firearm. So it's going to make you easier to locate because many of the people that get these, they don't move. They've lived in the same place for the last 10 years. They built themselves a life. And they think that they're doing people a service by complying. No. You just made yourself a target and you just violated the Second Amendment. And that might sound tough and harsh, but you know what, people, it's time to grow the fuck up. Seriously. When the fuck are we going to realize that these people don't have the right to trample all over our natural rights? When? Is it going to take somebody putting a weapon in your face? What are you going to do? It's a serious question, because that's exactly where this is going to go. It's exactly where it's going to go. We see it already. It's already headed in that direction. You know, where natural rights are placed to the side because of a supposed threat or an imaginary threat. They might have done something. Well, I'm sorry to say, but the Bill of Rights guarantees a right to trial by jury. What does that mean? Investigation. You cannot try somebody and murder them before they get their day in court. You just can't do it. But it's been done multiple times. And people just don't get it, you know. They say, well, you know, they deserved it, blah, 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 blah. They try to justify it. I'm sorry, but any police officer, military, it doesn't matter who, that violates someone's natural rights or their constitutional rights, they're a traitor. That's treason. The minute that person, whether they're wearing a badge or uniform or not, violates the right to trial by jury, or any of the rights that are enshrined in the Bill of Rights, they violated their oath. And I want law enforcement and military to really seriously think about that, because it's not just an attack on you. I know some police and military may get a little, you know, uptight about that. They might think that I'm directing my complaint at them, but honestly, no. If you haven't stepped over that line, then you're safe. If you have, if the shoe fits, wear it. If it don't, kick it off. But you got to make a decision. You have to make a decision whether or not you're going to follow unlawful orders, whether or not you're going to stand by your oath of office. Because if you don't, you're a traitor. I don't care what law they've passed. I don't care what order they've handed down the chain of command. You have to obey lawful orders. You do not have to obey unlawful orders. It's right there in the oath. It's simple. And if you think you have to obey unlawful orders or you fear reprimand for it, guess what? The more that stand up to it, the harder it's going to be for them to try and come down on you. And I'm going to give you an example, because I was in the military during the time of the Michael New trials. Our whole platoon refused to serve underneath the United Nations. They threatened us. They told us we had to do it. But you know what? We never pulled those blue berets or anything out of their packages. We never painted our Kevlars blue. And you know what? We ended up handing those packages right back to the commander. You know why? Because he knew that the minute they tried to prosecute us, that was going to kill their case against Michael New. So they had to back down and not reprimand us, not punish us, and focus on New. What were they going to do? If they would have punished us, the whole company would have stood behind us. I know. I knew these people very well that would serve with me. So it is possible to cause them to back down. Just enough people have to do it. So if it takes your whole squad, your whole platoon, your whole company, then you guys got to make a decision to stand united. You can't do it. You can't be a lone wolf in this matter. You have to band together and refuse to follow unlawful orders. It's just simple as that. I mean, that's all I got for this segment right here. Stay tuned and watch your back. Be careful. Things are getting crazy. That's it for now.